time. However,
Yes, I will make you presenter.
Raghu.
Rutuja, hope you are able to see my screen. Hello.
Hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
we are able to
you
see the
see my
screen.
screen? It's not getting connected.
Yes, just a minute, sir. Netra is joining. She will tell you. Just 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Hello?
Yeah, Netra.
Yes.
Okay. Um, we will continue the discussion maybe once we are complete. Once we are all say that we are complete, we will start the session. So, 1 minute. Naveen, Naveen from ExpertSoft, can you confirm if all of them have joined? And also, Netra, can you also confirm if all of them have joined? We can continue with the session.
రెండు పీకేలు ఉన్నాయి ఏంది
Yes, sir. All members have joined.
Perfect. So let's continue with the session, people. So welcome to today's session. So let us start with the architecture point of view. What are the differences we need to know? So let me reshare my screen and let me know once you're able to see.
Raghu, can you start recording?
Recording is. Do you want to start the recording or pause the recording? Sorry.
Session recording.
Yeah, it is recording.
Okay.
Recording is in progress. Yes. Okay. So let me help you out with what are the different options we have. Like we have something called polls and test and timers. So in our sessions, to make the sessions interactive, people, you will also see usage of this polls wherein we bring up a question and you would be able to respond to it, which makes it more interactive and also your comfort towards an opinion. Okay, so that's something what we will also be introducing to you, and also you would be also introduced with user stories. So I believe this is the second session for all of you, not first session. Can someone raise your hand who says that, Raghu, this is the first session with you? Anyone? Okay, Prashant and Sasant. Okay, no problem. Okay, thanks for letting me know that, Prashant and Sasant. Great. So I'll brief you how the session will be progressing and what are the different aspects of it as a quick start for today, and then we will also go ahead with the actual flow of discussion. Okay, so just a moment. Feel free to unmute yourself. You have any questions? You will also have an option of chat, which you could also use whenever you have any challenge to unmute yourself. So you have a chat option. So I'm just typing for you so that you recognize where it is. You can use the chat option with everyone, or which will be useful for others also to recognize. Okay, there was some question raised, and only in such cases where you do not have an opportunity to unmute yourself. Okay, so now what I will do, I will share my screen again. Let me know once. Now you should be able to see the screen, right, people? So firstly, we will go with gap analysis sessions. The gap analysis sessions, they help us to make our sessions more related to or tailored to our discussion sessions topics, people. So you would realize that there will be some prerequisites which are needed for us to understand why the clients are using advanced planning, what are the different advantages of it at all. Also the different uh, prerequisites which are needed for us before we get introduced to the actual topics will all be part of our gap analysis sessions, people, followed by user stories. Right, the user stories, it's more about a problem statement wherein you will have different players involved. It can be a sales manager, it can be a production shop floor engineer, it can be a warehouse executive, and so on. So there are different other players who are involved. So what are the different problems they come across, and how the supply chain point of view, what are the different methodologies, what are the different navigations which are available for us, what are the different tools which are available for us in advanced planning by which they are able to mitigate or manage or solve the issues, is what we are going to realize in this user story. So this is the user story. Then the training content. I believe all of you who are here in the session, you all have received a Word document or a PDF which speaks about what are the topics to be the part of our discussion, isn't it? So you can confirm, acknowledge me through any one of them. You can confirm by unmuting yourself. If not, you will probably receiving it. So wherein we will go through all this topic. So these are the three aspects how our sessions are classified. So when I introduce you with the user story, so you would see that we will go through the user story. We'll understand what are the basic essential challenges the planner is undergoing and how it is going to be solved. So that's the way how it is. Will be in our plan session two. Any questions? You're all able to see my screen? Yes. Can we continue? Prashant.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, we can continue.
Okay. So let us firstly start with understanding of the architecture. So before we know how our advanced planning is placed, we should also know how the architecture of the older offering, that is SAP ECC and APO, when there were two different boxes, how it used to be. So we need to understand that. Then we will be understanding how is the latest simplified architecture is. So for example, here ECC, which is an OLTP system, and within APO we have this live cache and classical DB. So in APO box, they used to have these two different boxes people. Live cache, which is again a database, and also classical DB, which is also a database. So you you would see that just next to the system you are seeing something called OLAP, and here you also see it as OLTP. Okay, OLTP stands for anyone? OLTP.
Online transaction processing,
Very good. Online transactions processing system. Any guess for OLAP people?
online analytical processing,
Very good. Online analytical processing system. So these were two different ways how uh, the way of database behavior was used to be. So because they were not able to manage or mitigate with one single system, so they had to use these two different boxes. But now with the advancement in the technology, like advancement in the different search engines which are available for us, they bring it to S4 HANA as a one single box, which is OLTAP, Online Transactions and Processing System. So S4 HANA is OLTAP system now. So though it is OLTAP system, there is something called Live Cache, which is still part of our S4 HANA for advanced planning capabilities. So now this is the way how your new simplified S4 HANA architecture would be. So you see the CIF is still there. It is the CIF, which is for core interface, which was also the part of the older architecture. It is still there, but it has been minimized. The very scope of CIF has been minimized. Now, why this simplified S4HANA architecture is going to bring a lot of advantage, we need to understand. So whenever we speak about two different systems, people, the first essential thing as a barrier what we would realize is they need to synchronize the data, they need to update the data very oftenly or frequently in order to achieve the same level of data is available between the both the systems. So this data updation used to take lot of time, and also there were many instances where clients say that, hey Raghu, this particular system has differences in the overall data, and they have to do a reconciliation at a very huge extensive times. So that is minimized because of this simplified architecture. So S4HANA is one single box now, and you can see Live Cache is hosted on it. Live Cache is hosted on it. So this is the simplified version. So CIF is still there even in this latest version, but maybe in going forward in future, maybe they may minimize it further, or maybe they can completely eliminate also. At the current stage point of view, CIF is still there. Okay, people. Questions on this? The simplified version of architecture of SAP S4 HANA. Any questions?
So, from my understanding, with my little bit of experience with S4HANA, I have seen that most of the master data is automatically synced in. But yeah, I know that there is one or two checkboxes that we have to check to make this thing happen.
Indeed.
Yeah, but other than that, most of it is already there. Once we do that small configuration, and yeah, maybe further in next sessions, you might be telling
Cover
us
it.
like
Yes.
what are the ones
Yes,
that we
question.
really need to. Yeah. Okay.
Well said. Yes, Prashant. So earlier, yes, it was a pain point for us to match the master data changes or to ensure that the changes have been updated at the right time and all. So, but now it's a single click away. That's true. And it is much more simplified when we compare it with the older box. Correct. So how it is achieved and what are the essential navigations we have to follow while doing so, we'll also understand. Good question. Yes, that is correct.
So when you say it is a single check away, do you mean to say there are any changes that are existing for this PPDS in on the production master data perspective, Raghu?
So master data point of view, yes. Like okay, so now that you are all comfortable with how ECC will work, I believe, right? All of you are come with the ECC experience, I believe, right? So if you see, let us start with a material master. So you will see that material master, which did not have a specific tab, for example, advanced planning tab in material master. This is the one of the change which has a significance which to respect to our advanced planning paper. Now we need to know certain background about this, why SAP has introduced this, and at the same time what is the benefit it brings when we compare it with the older version. Okay, so sir, let's continue the discussion. Are you okay? You had I believe you are going to the same topic of what you
Right.
asked. Is it?
Understood. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So first thing is, when let us understand the pain point earlier, what planners they had when they had ECC and APO as two different boxes. So for others who are not well versed with APO, APO is a advanced planning and optimization tool, which is used only for planning people. Okay, so it's not an execution system, it's not an execution server, it's a only a planning tool. So it used to be a separate box earlier, now it is hosted on S4 HANA directly. As we were speaking about the new changes to the architectural point of view, they were able to achieve it. So this APO box, when they used to have it as a separate box, so there are also the different naming conventions what we should understand, people. So for example, I refer in ECC or S4 HANA also going forward, right? So we will say even S4 HANA, we refer a material, but in advanced planning, it is called as product. Similarly, a work center in S4 HANA, can someone tell me what it is called as? Anyone? Any guess?
Resource.
Resource, very good. Called as resource. Production versions called as production data structures.
But don't it this in the process industries it's a substitute, right? Work center is a resource. So even in this PPDS as well, the APO advanced planning still they are using the resource terminology.
Can you repeat? Sorry.
So what I'm trying to ask is, Raghu, in the process industries, right, where master recipe production version will be there they
It
will
is
use the
resource
terminology as
only.
a resource, right?
Correct, correct. Yes, indeed. So you mean to say C203, isn't it? That's what you mean, the
Yeah,
transaction code.
CRC1, CRC2, CRC3.
CRC1.
So even in this advanced planning, still they are using the terminology same.
Yeah. Work center,
Okay.
only work center or resource. Okay, let me, for the better convenience, it's a good point. No doubt I would appreciate this. Very good. The work center or resources. Okay, would still be referred as resource. Okay, it makes the sense, right? In S1. CRC3 or CR03, either of them. Now it's still called as resource only. Okay. Now from here, we have some important things to do. Plant, then distribution center, then we have vendors,
Yeah. Quick question on the same thing, work center resource. So
customers.
in ECC we differentiate a work center and resource depending upon process and production. But in APO, we are going to always say resource, right? Whether it's making, I mean, whether it's a process or production, right?
Yeah, whether it is
There's no
process
difference.
industry or discrete industry, whether you use CR02 or CRC2, still it is referred as resource only in advanced planning. Prashant,
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
are we clear?
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. Distribution center. So all of this are referred in S4 HANA, but anyone guess what do we call it in advanced planning? They are all called as only locations. Location, but with a different location type. So, for example, plant we say it as location type as 1001, for customer as 1010. So you'll all realize that in the going forward in the system. So as this is just for an understanding that the way how the master data can be realized in S4 HANA and in advanced planning, they are not same. So you will not see the same transaction be used. So the master data, whichever is available for us in S4 HANA, in order to validate them in advanced planning, we have a different set of transactions, and the way how do we recognize them is also something different. So what are the few important more pointers about each of this master data? When we touch base each of this master data, we will understand that people. So what is the firstly the takeaway is that the master data, the way how they are recognized or the way how they are represented in S4 HANA has a difference when you again refer back to advanced planning. Okay, question so far. So these are the essential master data for our advanced planning for in-house production, of course. But we have something like info records, scheduling agreements, contracts, which are all called as, or of course they are realized as external procurement relationships. lanes. E-lanes are nothing but transportation lanes. These are the three, the one in the bottom, these three in the bottom here. These are essentially useful for you when you are trying to realize the external procurement capabilities of a client. Okay, people. So far, are we clear? Any questions?
So when you say info records, is that the purchase info record, something like that, Raghu?
Yeah. Yes. I'll make it as purchasing for the better benefit of others. Okay. Purchasing for correct. Any other questions? I see there's some.
Just one question. So from this APO perspective, right? So still is SAP going to support for a longer run, or since had came into the place, so it is going to end the support?
Can you repeat, Cesar?
So the APO, Advanced Planning and Optimization Tool. So after IBP, Integrated Business Planning, had came into the play, still is SAP going to support for a longer run?
For advanced, for you're saying about APO or for EPPDS?
I'm asking about APO.
APO, they are expecting to sunset by 2027 or may extend to 2029, but after that, they would completely close APO.
Okay, okay. So the reason for asking this question is, Raghu, so hope we are in these PPDS sessions, hope we will be having the visual, I mean, we will be having some, visual training from integrating this with either with APO or IBP, right?
No, we don't need APO or IBP because we will use S4 and advanced planning. So there is no need of APO. We are
Okay,
going to use
okay.
S4 HANA itself.
All
There is
right,
no
all
need
right.
of IBP. So the portion of APO is now part of S4 HANA, right? Prashant, in other way. For others, people. So, like for example, when I say PPDS or when I say GATP, those are part of the modules of API which are part of now advanced plan. So, of course, they are given different name. So, for quick reference point of view, let me show you those. What are the different modules we have? So these are the modules which are available in the older APO people and the new offerings. Where are they sitting? Right. So those which are in bold color, they represent the module name and they belong to APO box on the left hand side, and the right hand side is where are they currently available. Like demand planning and supply network planning, these modules are now supported by IBP. So of course IBP has a different name sometimes, but yeah, this is what these modules of older APO modules, how are they supported now? It is through this new offerings like IBP here. GATP and PPDS, AATP in S4HANA, and EPPDS in S4HANA. Okay.
What is GATP, Raghu?
GATP stands for Global Availability to Promise,
Like
and
what it does really come under? Like, is that some sort of a module that comes under?
Global Availability to Promise is the offering which makes the order planning or order scheduling more effective. So the capabilities like if I do not have a product A and if there is a product B which is available, which could be also considered for planning or also considered for confirmation of orders. I can get the details of that order, or I can get the details of that material and get them uh, fulfilled or allocated to my demand in order to achieve the overall demand fulfillment. So that's the one of the feature of GATP. So how are you going to manage your availabilities of your demands is what GATP will work for in a nutshell, Shashank.
Okay, okay.
So there are a lot of other offerings also, but in a nutshell, how so when you get a when you receive a demand, so how it can be managed when your normal ATP is no. So then that's the case when GATP will work for you. So you know the normal ATP, right? Like you create a sale order of 100, and you see here, do you have a stock of 100 or not? If answer is yes, then it's normal ATP, right, Shashank? But if the answer is no, like you have a demand of 100, but you have only let's say a stock of only 50. Now what will the system do? How will the system do in order to manage this rest of the 50 quantity, or in order to manage the whole demand of 100, is what GATP can help you with. Okay.
Understood, Raghu. So is that part of this PPDS scope only?
No, it's not part of PPDS because it comes into a different module called AATP, highlighted.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
AATP, that's part of AATP offering of S1. Okay.
So if a client is on S4 and if they are asking about PPD experience, are they talking about just the ePPDS, or are they can there be a scenario where they can be APO PPDS with S4? Is that also possibility if the client is having a requirement for PPDS?
Can you repeat? Can you repeat?
If the client is having a requirement for PPDS, let's say they said we need a PPDS consultant.
Hmm.
So is there a possibility that they are still on APO and also on HANA, meaning integrated? I mean, basically they are doing everything in HANA, but for PPDS they can connect to APO PPDS and still have the PPDS module running, APO PPDS module running.
Okay, I get your question, Prashant. So let me take this as ways of configuration. So what are the different ways how a SAP implementation can happen? Okay, so these are the ways how you could expect. Okay, first one, S4 HANA plus APO PPDS. So in this, client wants to change his ECC system to S4 HANA, and still he wants to use the older APO box PPDS functionality point of view, and they want to integrate in this way. This is possible. Okay. Next one is S4 HANA with advanced planning or ePPDS. So sometimes Raghu you are saying advanced planning, sometimes you are saying ePPDS. Both of them are same people. So this can be one way of having your configuration. So these are the two different ways how you can have. And even in S4 HANA, you all know that S4 HANA with cloud version, S4 HANA with on-premise version. So these are the two ways how it could be. So whether it's S4 HANA cloud version or S4 HANA on-premise version, you would see the same offerings available. Only thing is In context of APO PPDS, we do not have something called theory, but which is now there for us when we go with on-premise, especially with the cloud version it is. But even from on-premise also, we will see how generally the cloud version, the theory can be accessible. We will also see that this is something very new, which we have it in EPPDS, especially people, but not in APO PPDS. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So, what is the benefit for a client when they go with cloud? I just want to hear from you people.
From my understanding, cloud has a very limited functionality. I mean, from my understanding, but it might be having some advantages that they don't need to have their on-site team because SAP is providing that service. And that's my understanding with the cloud version.
From my understanding, I think from the cloud version, the database management is easy as compared to on-premise version.
One benefit is, of course, they would be able to reduce the overall maintenance. That's correct. Any other benefits, people, you feel? So another benefit is, of course, accessibility to data, people. So what I mean by accessibility to data is you can access the data from anywhere, anytime, right? That's a very important advantage what clients are seeing when they go for cloud, right? So, of course, we will not go to too much of the details of why the cloud, but you would see that in the future roadmap, most of the clients they would go for their implementations on cloud rather than on-premise because of the different other advantages it gives. Okay, did your question got answered, Sasha?
I guess Prashant had asked that. Yeah. Uh, just an additional question, Raghu. Sorry to go back to the old question. So earlier there is an advanced, what is that, availability to promise ATTP that you have mentioned, right? So from the consulting point of view, whose scope does that lie under?
Who?
Whose scope does that lie under? Will that be handled by a separate consulting team, or will that be part of APO consultants, or how it will be handled?
It's part of
If,
the different other consultant, Sasha.
if you go back to the previous slide, right, which you showed EPPDS, ATPO.
Yeah.
Not
This
this one actually. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this global availability to promise. So the implementation of this GATP. So does that lie under anyone's bucket, between either IBP or APO, or is it a total different consulting team?
AATP, they are consultants who only work for AATP. So they are dedicated consultants who work for AATP.
Okay, okay. So will they have the integration both from demand planning as well as the supply planning related stuff, Raghu?
For AATP, you are asking?
Yeah.
It's not needed. It is not needed because it's more about the actual demand. So It's not needed because there are two types of demands. Like one is planned demand, another one is actual demand. AATP works essentially on actual demand.
Okay.
So AATP is essentially for actual data, like sales orders, imagine, or orders with which has relevance with scheduling agreements, contracts. Can I continue, Prashank? If your question got answered.
Yeah, yeah. Please continue.
I think Sasidhar also joined with us. Hi Sasidhar, can you hear me? Can you confirm by unmuting
Hi,
yourself?
yeah, I joined. Yes, I think I got a invitation. It is a 9 to 10 p.m. See, uh,
Okay, no
I don't
problem.
know the schedule.
We just started to understand what are the way how our sessions would be continued for the rest of the days, and we just started with the basic introduction. Is it that? Yeah, you have not missed
Okay,
much.
okay.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So we discussed about ways of configuration. There are different ways of configuration like S4 HANA with API PPDS, S4 HANA with advanced planning or ePPDS, and or S4 HANA also with cloud version or on-premise version. So these are the four different ways how the clients would configure their systems. People, this was something what we discussed, and yeah. So as we progress with our sessions, the as I was mentioning at the very beginning of the discussion, right? Like you will see with the gap analysis sessions, wherein we get some background about the topic and then we will go to the user story. This is the first user story. Let us try to also consume and understand how it is. And then we will realize, in accordance to this user story, what are the other essential things in the system point of view a planner should realize, right? Like for example, so let us go through this user story. So it is a uh, the first dilemma in the material planning system. So far when we have discussed, we understood that advanced planning is a planning system. Of course, it's not understood for us. Now you have S4 HANA is also available. Advanced planning is also available. Does S4 HANA does the planning? Yes, of course it does the planning. You all say that yes, Raghu, MRP is also one of the feature of S4 HANA. Is also a planning tool, right? So if the client wants to use this both systems, the first dilemma what he would have is that as a planner, as a production shop floor planner, I want to understand which system should I use to plan my material. So this is the first dilemma, people. So in this case, the client has two different set of materials. So I will also introduce to you in the next session the whole profile of a pseudo client. We say it as A17. So A17, it has a different supply chain nodes. It is a client which is more essentially playing a vital role in the life science industry and electronic equipments industry, for which is essentially used in pharma and hospitality. So this client A17, in this one production shop floor planner, right? And he has two different types of materials, M1 which represents a screw and nut, and M2 which is a processing unit. Okay, so now for this specific shop floor manager or the planner, he wants to know on what basis should I decide which material should I use to be planned in S4 HANA, which material should I use to be planned in advanced planning. So before I go further, I want to you to think about this situation first. Did you understand the problem clearly? And then we will realize on what basis he can make his classification easier. So I believe the font size is not straining your eyes. It's okay. The font is okay, I believe. Yes, people.
Better to increase little bit it so.
Little bit more. Okay. No problem.
It's very small.
Okay. Yeah. Feel free. How about now?
It's okay, good. Thank you.
Good. Good. We'll go for a quick 2 minutes of going through this user story, and I want you all to make a note of what are the challenges this client, or what are the different things this planner should think while deciding, okay, this should be for this specific material should be planned in S4 HANA only or in advanced planning only. So on what basis it is going to be done, let us understand that. But we should firstly understand what is the problem of this planner. Okay. And this also brings to my next topic and your comfort or awareness about these topics, people. What it means by MRP, what it stands for. Anyone, you can unmute yourself for each of it. What does it stand for? Primarily.
Okay, material requirement planning, consumption based planning,
Also referred as reorder point planning.
just in time,
Perfect.
Economic order quantity.
Very good. AIT is also called as three-win procedure. I want to emphasize one point, that these techniques or these methodologies, they are not compromised techniques. What I mean by non-compromise, that means they are still efficient and effective techniques, but as one size doesn't fit for all, similarly, though we have these wonderful techniques, still client cannot conclude that this could be my way of managing my material to be planned. So there is still a need for the client to go for advanced planning. So in order to realize on what are the different bases on which the client is going to consider for a material he wants to use to be planned in advanced planning or S4 HANA, we'll further see that, people. But yes, you all should remember that these are all not compromised techniques. Firstly, very important. Okay, so we are very clear with the problem statement of the planner, right? He wants to know which material should he plan it in S4 HANA and which material should he plan it in advanced planning. So we come to the next topic here, that is the factors which influence the material planning in advanced planning. So here the first classifier is material whether it is functional or innovative. So if a material is functional, like a hammer, what we use it at our homes, right, to fix a nail, is an example, a classic example for us to consider it as functional. So what is the basic definition, Raghu? A material, the way how it is procured or produced or used, has not changed over a significant period of time. You could say it as functional material. So you say, Raghu, the hammer, the way how it was used and the way how it looks like has been same since my childhood, and also it is the same even now, let's say. But when you come to the other example here, which I mentioned, like mobile phone, you say the way how it used to be earlier, 15 years back, you all say that yes, Raghu, it was not the same way how it is now. And even the features, you say the functions, you say the usage, you say. So you say that, okay, this is an innovative material overall, right? And you also will agree with me that both of these materials cannot have a same level of planning. Hello, people, right? You all agree? Give me a thumbs up. You can react. You can give the reaction option. So give me a thumbs up that says that you are all agreeing with me. People. Perfect. That would make the you are all following what I mean, right? So the first classifier is a material functional or innovative. That's the first classifier on which the factor on which basis you would decide should I use S4 HANA or advanced planning. Then comes the material with higher lead times. If a material has a very short lead time, it is easy to achieve. Why do you need an advanced planning for it? Right, people? So, depending on the lead times or the higher lead times, is also one of the factor that makes the planner or the client to decide should he use advanced planning or normal planning. Then, cost, people. So, then the cost is also the parameter on which basis the planner would decide whether he wants to use S4 HANA or advanced planning. So if the material is lesser in cost, so we just now have introduced with this methodologies like EOQ, economic order quantity. Now you all might have seen, like it's something what we do it in our day-to-day life also, people. You say I go to a grocery store, Raghu, and I see this, which is something like very oftenly used by me. Like you say, I see a cereal, um, I go to a shop, the grocery store, and I say, okay, I have 1+1 offer. So though I don't need uh, for current month, I only, let's say for example, I need only 1 kg of some green gram, let's say, but he gives me an offer of 1 kg free, or he says that okay, if you buy for 2 kgs, I will give you a lesser cost, let's say. Then you will go to buy the whole 2 kgs. People, you say, because you say this is less person cost, Raghu, firstly, number one. And also, I will be able to manage for the next month. It's okay for me to go for this excess than my need of demand quantity, right? So that's your economic order quantity. And why are you doing it? Because you see a monetary benefit for you when you are doing this, right? So that's your economic order quantity. So you're still okay to go for this, but you will say this doesn't appear in the same way if the cost of the product is too high. If the cost of the product is too high, you will just take the very much which is needed for you. Though he will say you that if you go for a bulk, you may able to see some reduction in the cost, but maybe you will not go for a huge in quantity because the cost is very high. People, you're all following? Yes. The higher lead time is of course clear. Cost, is it clear why it makes it as a classifier, right? Thumbs up. Then whether a particular material is has a complex make is also one of the reasons that you want to use the advanced planning. And then the showstopper, a material which is classified as a showstopper, and also a material which has shelf life. So these are the different factors, people, on which basis a client would decide, or a planner would decide whether he wants to use a material to be planned in S4 HANA or in advanced planning. Now let's go back to this user story. So here he has M1 and M2, which are two different products. So can you please tell me M1, which is the screw and nut, which one do you think he should use? S4 HANA or advanced planning to plan? And similarly, processing unit is another one. What is your thought, people?
I guess ScrewNet will be planned in S4, but
Okay,
with the help of ScrewNet, if there is a complex product, it should be planned by a processing unit.
good. That's a good answer, smart answer, I would say. Sure. So now this is our own example, people. This is our example, okay? So it's okay to have it whether in advanced planning or in S4 HANA, but let us give the justification, right? Now, with the factors, whatever we have discussed, can I say if I take the consideration of cost is very less, so I want to use S4 HANA, number one, right? Can I use functional also? Maybe not every time you may see lot of tick boxes, okay, for the same case lot of factors would support you, but yeah, in our case it is supporting us, so cost is less, so I want to use S4 HANA because I will want to use something like economic order quantity in that fashion. Functional, so screw and nut, most of the cases this the way of its functioning, the process of its usage and all the structure of it is not changing, I will say it as functional, so I will still use it, right? But maybe the processing unit, it is a showstopper, it has some advancement in the technology, so maybe that in that case there's a reason why I will say innovative being considered by it. So that is one of the reason that makes that to be planned in advanced planning, even the cost also I will take something like that. So on this basis the planner will decide which of the material should be part of S4 HANA or advanced planning. Very important, people, because only then you will realize when we further go on to the system also, only then you would realize that okay, why this specific material was being used by the client in S4 HANA or it is being used in advanced planning. Very important. Yeah. So as a process of, I believe you all are equipped to have the session for 2 hours. We will take a short break of 10 minutes and we will resume, okay?
Sure.
We will join back at 9:10 p.m. IST. I believe you all are back. Can you all hear me? Oh, great. So, yeah, thanks, Susan. So, people, I also have understood that you have received your respective SAP system credential access and all. So, kindly ensure that you are able to log in and you do not face any impediments while you are able to log in. So that if you have any challenges, so please do reach out to your coordinator respectively. So, you would ask me, Raghu, who is my coordinator? The person who has forwarded you this link to join, or the person who is in touch with you uh, to get your sessions links point of view, all the different other communications who is providing you. So that person would be your coordinator for any impediments you are facing, whether it is you are not able to join the link or you have not received any link or any other challenges. Please do reach out to your coordinator respectively. Okay. So let me share my screen quickly. So people, we have understood that yes, uh, for this planner, in order to achieve the classification which system should he use, so we were now able to help him that he should use uh, S4 HANA for M1 and M2 will be used by advanced planner. But in the realization point of view, how are we going to see it? What are the different other
So
parameters we need to
S4 HANA
understand?
means he is
Because
using MRP.
sorry, Sasi,
S4 HANA means he is using an MRP.
can you repeat?
No, you're saying is M1 for M1 point of view. They are using S4 HANA means is it MRP functionality planning?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yes. So when I say here you use S4 HANA, that means the overall decisions of managing the plan for that material will be S4 HANA.
Okay.
Okay. Why I'm not saying just MRP, even CBP is still a part of S4 HANA only, right, Shashi?
Okay. But is
Okay.
this
So
one thing in S4 HANA PPDS is ePPDS, correct? So this ePPD, when using the PPDS, is it mandatory for the any planning to use IBP or not required like in S4HANA normal SOP and MRP and PPDS?
yeah, it is not needed. It is not mandatory to use IBP. Okay.
Okay,
So only if the client thinks that his long-term planning and mid-term planning, he wants to make it more efficient, client can go for IBP.
okay. So for
Okay.
short term, they can use in
For short term, he
MRP
is
and
already
PP.
having PPDS and now S4 HANA is already there. Of course, with PPDS is there, that is sufficient. So
Okay.
PPDS is
But
a short term plan.
this PPDS mainly used for the capacity plan. That is not a related to metal requirement, correct? Am I right?
Repeat, repeat.
No, no. PPDS is not related to metal requirement planning. It is mainly the capacity planning.
No, 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 no. Okay.
Oh,
So that's a good point, no doubt. So if it is just only for capacity planning, is our thought was no. So let us go to the next pointer. Why not? So this will also give us one important strong point that clients want to use advanced planning, Sasi. The first one is, of course, can do both material and capacity planning together or simultaneous. Okay, so the very important advantage that makes advanced planning to be the part of their landscape for clients is it can do both material and capacity planning together or simultaneously. Okay, this is one of the major reasons. So, do you all also agree with me, Sashi, Prashant, Shashank, right?
Yeah,
That
okay.
material planning and capacity planning are two different steps in normal production planning. People, give me a thumbs up. So you all have an option here, react, right? Rishi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So, but when we come to advanced planning, it is together. So that's a very important advantage what client would see. So material planning and capacity planning, they are done in silos in separate steps in S4 HANA. That is even the production planning, let's say, but it is done together in advanced planning. So that is the advantage. So is it only going to be only for capacity planning? No, it is for both material and capacity planning. Great.
So you mean to say, Raghu? Without advanced planning, currently MRP will be executed through MD01, MD02, MD03, stuff like that. Whereas capacity planning will be handled separately. Now, when you are coming to advanced planning, do you mean to say that there will be a program or a transaction where both executions will be done in that same one?
Yes, yes, Shashank.
Oh, okay.
It's not a transaction or a program, but you will realize the different features of advanced planning that makes it possible to do both material and capacity planning together.
No,
Meaning
interesting.
in ECC, when we check the box for lead time scheduling, that itself is providing us with a to the minute scheduling, right? In ECC, meaning that means we are doing. I mean, just trying to understand. Isn't that called simultaneous material and scheduling the capacities?
Wonderful. Good point, Prashant. No doubt. So when I say lead time, let us understand this with a small case. Right? So for example, when you say about lead time planning, let us understand why this need not be a righteous way of approach, and what could be the MADs which comes because of the lead time based planning, how it is going to incur. So let's say I'm standing on 26th of August, and let's say I have placed an order today. So some sale order SO1 for a material called M1 of some quantity like say 100, and I'm expecting system to give me a expected date, material availability date. Now when I say lead time, right? So what system would do? System would see, okay, in the material master point of view, what is the lead time maintained? Okay, it says that it is 2 days of lead time. In-house production number of days is 2 days. So system will confirm the quantity on 28/08/2023. Now this is correct, but with a condition. Like when I say it is correct with a condition, but what is this but? Now number one, you say when you have right amount of material, when you have right quantity of capacity, right? Do you agree that only when these two conditions are met, only then this 28/08/2023 of what so-called we are going to promise to customer would be a reliable MAD, Prashant,
Yes.
right? So when according to lead time, it is correct. So 2 days it says okay, 20 days it is correct, but it still has to evaluate this. So you say, unfortunately, Raghu 27, tomorrow is a Sunday, there will be no production happening. So you have to skip that. So instead of giving the confirmation to customer on 26th, boss, you should at least make it to 29th or 30th. Now this evaluation now, you say that there is a need of understanding of unavailability of capacity, unavailability of the, you say, the material and so on. All of this has to be considered. On that basis only you should generate your MAD, material availability date, which is of course reliable. Now when you come to the second context, when you have already evaluated both your material and capacity planning, so that's the reason why, though it is you are saying it as lead time based planning, I'm still doing it. Need not be 100% correct, because maybe one of them has not been considered in a complete, uh, the complete scope of it has been not been evaluated at a given point of time. Prashant.
Yeah, when you say capacity is not available, we have an option. Let's say in ECC, we have an option to to let the system know when the work center is available and when it is not available, and what timings, shift one, shift two, shift three. Let's say, for example, what are the
Hmm.
timings of the shifts and when it is available and when it is not available. So accordingly, system would block those times so that it should know. I mean, I'm thinking it is taking that information also into consideration when it is planning in ECC with the lead time scheduling. Is it not doing that, or are you saying, is there anything else to that?
I guess Prashant, the lead time will be. I might be wrong. Probably Raghu can correct me. Lead time will be handled from the material master driven values, and capacity will be another set of values where, as you mentioned, that in the work center load will be evaluated there on a separate entity. Yeah, I mean, both
No, in
needs to
the
be evaluated
in
as part
MD,
of.
when you are
Yeah.
running MRP, we have the option to choose lead time scheduling and capacity planning. That is in ECC, and we have the same option in also a PPDS. Both of them having the same description. So I'm trying to understand where is the difference basically.
Oh, you mean to say the values that might be picked either from master recipe or routing?
Yeah, yeah, there are two options. One is from the routing, another from is the directly metal master can maintain
That is for
basic
basic
dates,
dates. Well, that is for
basic
basic
dates.
dates. That is one option, and there is a
Yeah,
option two when in
from
MD
directly.
01, where you are looking at the lead time scheduling, and also the option says capacity
But
planning. So is it
Prashant, you
so we
still
are,
have to do capacity leveling. You still have to do capacity leveling, no doubt.
yes. So are we not doing the capacity leveling in in EPPDS, or is it already done?
We can do it automatically. I'll show you the way how to achieve it.
So even similarly in ECC also we have some strategies, but we have to do while we are doing the capacity leveling. We have to use those strategies to level the capacity in
No
ECC.
doubt. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we cannot achieve it in production planning,
Mm.
but what I'm just saying
Okay.
is it's a two-step procedure.
Okay.
It's a
Okay. Okay.
two-step procedure. But in
Okay.
EPPDS it is simultaneous or one-step procedure in other way. Both of them
Okay.
are
So you.
planned together.
Okay. Okay.
That's it.
Make.
I
Yeah.
will
Okay.
not deny that we cannot do it in PP, no doubt. So this has been the oldest and most matured product, no doubt, by SAP. But I'm
Mm.
saying that it is done as a two-step procedure, as a general
Okay.
practice, right? But
Understood. Yeah.
yes, it is doable simultaneously. So why? So we are just trying to draw this line of why advanced planning could be the part of their selection. So if they
Mm.
want to achieve simultaneous planning, that could be one of the reasons. So of course there
Okay.
are other reasons also, no doubt. So one of them is that okay, we can achieve at certain cases. I want to do both material and capacity planning together. So in that case, advanced planning would be a approach, a better approach for me, rather than I do it as a two-step procedure. That's it. But I will never say that it's only doable in advanced planning, but not in PP. No, it's just about you will need to do it as a two different steps. That's it.
Okay, got it.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
very good. I like this discussion. Very good. Yeah. So then, what if analysis? So what if analysis is a very important aspect. You will realize what are the different features and functions advanced planning provides us that makes it to be make the planner's choices or to realize about his what are the choices he is going to consider, how efficient they are or how effective they are, and on that basis he can conclude whether he wants to go for a plan or not. So this what if analysis is one of the very useful feature or function of advanced planning that makes it very special, right? Then also it has interactive planning. So you will realize about more about this upcoming discussions. In our upcoming discussions you will realize what are interactive planning tools, what is the significance of them. You have a lot of user stories which have in line with those, and how a planner would use them as their services and different other features and functions of it. You will realize that in our upcoming discussions with interactive planning tools. Then we have, so just for your understanding, I know these are some new terminology for you to know, but yeah, it's important still. So heuristics based planning. This is also another important reason that makes advanced planning very special for the client to consider. So I will not. So I'm just keeping as a nominal point, but you just can't take this. So theory, and why am I saying this theory is this nominal point, people? Because you have only two theory apps so far, but maybe going forward, this the roadmap of SAP S4 HANA in advanced planning point of view. They want to build a few more strong theory apps for the usage point of view. So theory is of course a very minimal point what makes the client to go ahead for advanced planning. But theory is just a special feature, right? So which is available for us in advanced planning. When I compare it with the older APO, PPDS older setup point of view, which is not having theory. This is additional thing what we have, which planners they want to use the digitalized way and all. So theory apps are available for us in advanced planning, which is not available in our older APO version. So that's also one of the
The
reasons.
training is now you are showing in that Fury based, correct? All that whatever that is it
Sorry?
Fury based or is it Fury based training or say
Yeah, theory based
normal?
planning tools are very minimal, right? Only two. So this is not a strong point why I should implement advanced planning. Is what I was saying, right? So because of only these two theory apps, client will go and implement advanced planning. The answer is no, right? You mean you don't feel that client would implement a whole planning tool just because of having these two theory apps, right, Ceci? You agree with me? So what I'm just trying to say is that I just keep it as a nominal point to make to understand there's a difference when you compare it with APO also, right? So that's the intention. So now, additional to this,
Sorry, one more thing. So, what if analysis is something in APO and PPDS? We have the model and version, right? That's where they can do the what if analysis, right? Which is
hmm,
not available in ECC, right? Am I right?
ECC, correct?
Yeah, okay, yeah. And the
Indeed,
interactive planning tool in ECC CM25 is sort of interactive, and it will allow you to do some interaction. But looks like on EPPDS there are a little bit additional options. Am I right
additional.
in assuming that? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, yes, Prashant.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Prashant, correct.
Is it covered in the in this predictive MRP?
Sorry,
Predictive MRP.
predictive MRP, no. It's the predictive MRP is still part of S4 HANA only, CC. Uh, Predictive MRP is part of long-term planning generally, right? So it's under the umbrella of long-term planning. It is not under advanced planning capability, but it's advanced feature in within the S4 HANA. I would say predictive MRP is advancement in S4 HANA itself, actually.
Okay.
But there's a good pointer. We can of course touch base that what are the features of a predictive MRP. but this system, being a test system, you will not be able to examine all the theory apps of predictive MRP. I think, but I'll try to see if they can extend few theory apps. I'll see and I'll get them so that you others also get the benefit of how predictive MRP generally works. Let me see. Okay, good. Yeah. So going back, so in advanced planning point of view, the another important advantage what we also see is, so you all would see, okay, live catch we have just introduced in our previous slide also, something called live cache. So what so significance of live cache? What is the importance it brings? We have to understand people. So the live cache is a system. So before I speak about live cache, so you might have all of you have heard about this cache in general in your day-to-day life, right? People say cache should be cleared and all. What is your general thought on the term called cache? Anyone? What would be the reason that makes them to use caches in general day-to-day life? Let's say.
Identifying
Caches
something.
are temporary data. Caches
Very
are
good.
temporary data storage type, मतलब that can store data for a temporary period of time.
Very good. Yeah. You say, for example, like Raghu wants to access, for example, a website like say YouTube, let's say, right? Easy. So whenever he's browsing, his browsing history will make a reference of this site, and it keeps in his cache memory, so that he is able to access this site faster. People, right? That's the significance of a cache. Okay. Now, why this makes it makes the user experience better, number one, right? Number two, you see the overall response time is also reducing. So that's the way how a cache is helping. But when we come back to S4 HANA, this live cache, this cache also is performing the same way. So it is trying to make your responses more faster, and here it is called as live cache because it is storing temporarily the transactional data which all has been uh, created or updated in your S4 HANA, people. So live cache it holds the transactional data to make the accessing faster. This is the another important advantage when they use advanced planning, because they have live cache enabled system. We have seen in the architecture point of view that S4HANA has a live cache hosted. So I believe by the next session you all will have your uh, access to your systems. So once I start going through the different navigations, I believe you'll also be able to quickly evaluate once I give you some short time to see that, okay, these are the ways how I can verify the different configurations and all, people. So I will take that in next session, that is tomorrow. We will see how the essential configuration, that's the first steps where we are going to realize how our system is configured and what are the few important things we need to go through while understanding the configurations point of view, and then we will dive on to the actual topics. So in ECC and APO there were two different boxes. It's easy for us to say, hey, this is an ECC box, this is an APO box, but you all will realize that I will refer it as because S4 has only one single box, so no two different systems. I will say S4 HANA side and advanced planning side. So maybe physically you will not distinguishable. It's not distinguishable to you. Okay, this is something I'm seeing. It is part of uh, S4 HANA or advanced planning. But for your quick illustration purpose point of view, people, I will be using this terminology as for HANA side or advanced planning side. It's easy for you to recognize, okay, this is something in left hand side, okay, it has come to right handed, something like that. So just for a quick illustration purpose point of view, but it's one single box, it's one single system, okay? So it's no more two different systems. And also, as a preliminary understanding point of view for all of you, you may see sometimes the older text coming up in your boxes. So you have to understand that the codes or the screens, they have been shifted for into the S4HANA box. So you would still see the older terminologies coming up. So it's okay. We will of course, as we progress on further to the discussion topics, I will of course bring that to your observation also, because I know that you're the people who are going to face the client, and maybe this type of questions could come to you. So it is also important for you all to know, okay, why this specific usage of words have been done. So you also will also be discussing as you progress with essential screen and their navigations. Yes, yes, either.
Yeah, this can be if material in the advanced planning, material and capacity both can be happening. It means MRP not required to use. Normal MRP is not required to use.
Yeah, we will understand that how it is achieved. Yeah, the answer to your question is, answer is yes, not needed. And we will also see how are the other ways how we are achieving it, and
Okay.
how are we making the system to realize that, okay, this particular material doesn't require MRP to be considered, let's say, right? You will see that as you progress onto the master data. So this is maybe in the
Okay.
next
Okay.
session you should be able to
Okay.
see
Okay.
it. How the system is able to realize that. What is the understanding point of view? How do we, go to that clear distinguishing that, okay, this material will be part of MRP or not? That also we will understand. Good point. Yeah.
Okay. But for the PPDS, the input is demand is required, correct? Demand. Demand can be either from SOP or IBP or any other, correct?
Demand is needed, no doubt. If there is no demand, there is no scope of plan, right? Shashi?
Yeah, yeah.
That's as clear as it is. So it's the basic principles, they remain the same, Shashi. So you speak
Okay,
about
okay.
net requirement calculation, you speak about demand management, they still remain same. There's no change people. It's so of course I know it's something very new for us. We will try to, as we further grow with our topics, you will say that, okay, this is the way how it is. So it's more about how the ways of working is different at all, but the very basic, I would say, the principles of planning, they still are going to be same, right? So you don't expect system, even if you run an MRP without a demand, you say, now you can't expect any results, buddy. No, it's not possible because you don't have any demand in hand, firstly, right? Shashi, you agree with me? So the same happens, of course, in advanced planning also. So the source of demand is of course again a different aspect again, like, but for us realization point of view people. So yeah, we have to, every time, I know whenever you are going to see this system, or whenever you are going to realize in the system point of view, keep it to yourself. I would say do an introspective every time, that you have to understand that, okay, am I doing execution part, or am I doing advanced only the planning part? Is it only the planning part? Yes, advanced planning can do something for me. Execution is never the scope of it, of advanced planning. So advanced planning, as its name also suggests, is only the scope of planning only. Execution is never interrupted. Execution is never um, modified by advanced planning. So when we go further to the details of it, we will realize that at what extent of level you see advanced planning is able to influence the process of plan, and after what extent you will see that it has been completely handed over to S4 HANA. So you will see the handshake between these two systems. So these are going to be very important critical discussions, people. So only then you will realize that, okay, the scope of, or the very significance of advanced planning, to what extent does it start, and to what extent it is going to be on a very high level, and then at what level it is going to make a handshake. So that will give you a very clear understanding of how advanced planning is going to work. Okay. Yes, Prashant.
हाँ, I have one doubt मतलब as I am starting with this EPPDS, so PP planning मतलब production planning is also a prerequisite to have this course
It's not
because I
needed
don't.
to know PP, but if you know it is a added advantage. It's okay. You don't really have to uh, have an experienced consultant in PP, but some basics will still help you make yourself comfortable. Even if not, no problem. Feel free. It's a good that you mentioned about it as a point. Don't go with an assumption. Okay, I think I have to be aware of this point. No, no problem. You say I'll go with a very simple example. So, Raghu, what it means by material master? No problem. Please ask this. Maybe it's a very basic question. No problem. Feel free to ask that question. Here we are all to learn. So feel free to ask me any questions, people. So we are more than happy to help you. So feel free to come up with any questions you have while we are going through the discussion or any topic which is already discussed. So it's okay. You can please make it as a question and you can ask. Okay, Prashant.
Okay. Yeah.
Very
And one more
very
thing.
Raghu,
So
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so what I mean to ask is, Raghu, that would be great if you could quite a bit deep dive into those consumption-based planning and all that stuff that you have. Just,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not too deep diving,
Understood.
but which is really required for PPDS, as a prerequisite. So that would have a great idea for us.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
So I was asking about the sixth point. So as you mentioned, the live cache holds the transactional data. So can you
Mm-hmm.
please throw a light on this? What actually it
Yeah.
means?
So how it is making a difference, right, Prashant? That's the question.
Yes, yes.
Got it. I have an example, ready example. Because just a minute. Okay. Let me go for full screen mode. I just want to see if you're all able to see my screen. A table is shown to you with different say. This is about order punching scenario, right? Where as a planner, I'm trying to punch some sale orders. This is the case. People, you all see my screen? Hello, Prashant. You see my screen?
Yeah, but it is half
Yes.
visible. The table is half visible.
Screen is not
No, screen is
clear.
visible, but yeah, but table is not coming in full screen. You can reduce the font
Table is
size.
not coming in full length. You are saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe if I have to minimize little, bear with me, so that you can see the full screen, and I will then again. How about now, people?
Yeah, now it's visible.
Now clear, right? So, how live cache based planning will make a difference is what we are going to understand with a simple example. Okay, I want to firstly jog all your memories, right? You all say, like one or the other time, of course, I believe all of you might have experienced this. Like for example, you have you are trying to change a material, and you say that, Raghu, if someone else is already editing it, I get a quick message. You cannot edit this material because so and so XYZ user is already in edit mode. Hello? All of them give me a thumbs up that you might have experienced this earlier. You have experienced this earlier when you are trying to change the same material which someone else is also doing. People, yes, thumbs up. Yeah. So you also will now understand that technically as a build point of view, and it is of course true, because you say, Raghu, any changes I'm doing, it is going to make an impact on the current existing data. So system, the SAP system, the database, the way how it works in a sequential way. What do you mean? So it says that, okay, first I will try to process request one. What is request one? Maybe if, let's say for example, Prashant is trying to make a change to the material, so it is request one. Then maybe Shashank wants to do a change, then it is request two, then request three by Raghu, then request four by Sisidhar, and so on. So now it has to process them in a certain sequence. So it will further make a database adjustment for each request, and then it will update the records. Now in this process you will also will agree with me that as the more number of users, if they are trying to access the same information, so you will see the response time will also increase people. That's of course the same, because the same source is being used. So obviously it will take more response time. This is what the standard general behavior of a normal OLTP system is. And when we come to the context of live catch, how it is going to be different, we will understand. But we will now quickly jump to this business case where I have multiple sales orders, and within these multiple sales orders, I understand that the stock in hand, right? The stock in hand currently what I have, that would help me to realize that whether the next upcoming sale orders are they promisable or not. Let's say. So this is currently I have 1,000 of stock. So how much of quantity each customer has requested for, and how much of quantity am I left with, that will decide the sale orders are completely processable or not, and the respective material availability date which they have to are expected to be confirmed to the customer. Is decision makeable by help of this specific information on the stock in hand, let's say. Now in older ECE box, so because they are not able to manage multiple transactions more effectively, they have to use a APO separate box, and because they have to also manage these transactions, you all will also agree with me. Just transaction data doesn't suffice, Raghu. You should also have master data. So we need to update master data. We have to then update the transactional data, synchronize them, then do the planning, and then make a proposal. So this is what they had to do. So that is the reason why they had a complex two different servers, ECC and APO, and then the data integration capabilities. But now it is simplified. People, we already have understood in our architecture that it is one single box S4 HANA, and live cache is hosted on the top of it, right? On the S4 HANA. Now if I consider this four sale orders which are punched by four different sales representatives, imagine people. So I will differ this instead of sale order one and sale order one, two, and three, and all. I will just bring this quick difference. Here I will say it as request 1, request 2, request 3, and request 4, which are accessing the same information that is stock in hand, and accordingly they are trying to punch the sale orders. So if the sale order one person is very clear about what is the quantity he wants to confirm to his customer, and he wants to commit to this, so he will save the sale order, and immediately system will consider this 100, and then it will make the reduction of it, and it will give the MAD, and also, and the over the stock in hand it also will be reduced from 500 to 400. But this In the normal database commit point of view, every time a sale order is being saved, every time it is happening, system is going to do a change to the stock in hand situation, get it updated in the background in the tables. But when in the context of live cache, it does it in dynamically. So this is the way how it is. So because of the dynamic updates which is happening, people, you will see the response time of database has been increased, or it has been decreased, I'm sorry, and the overall user experience will also be faster. So that is the advantage of having live cache. So whenever we are trying to see that live cache is active, the advantage what client will see is that the list of multiple transactions which are happening. So in this example, I just spoke about stock in hand situation. There can be different other additional aspects also. Like I might have done some production plan, I might have did a modification to the existing stock situation. All of these aspects, right, would also make a reference to the transactional data which is happening, and how it will affect my sale orders is also important for me to realize. So all of this different transactional data which is been getting built simultaneously, or it is getting on a constant basis, this S4HANA which is pumping, should make a change in the effective way of plan, which is very easily manageable when you have a live cache active on your system. That is the advantage, people, why advanced planning is making it a difference. Prashant, is that clear now, Prashant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there was one another point that is regarding just in time EOQ CBP. Consumption based planning is clear for all of you, right? You all are aware of it. Reorder point planning, what it means. Anyone you feel that, hey, I'm not pretty much sure about it? Raise your hand,
Could
please.
you please give an overview on that?
Yeah, reorder point planning is nothing but yes. So whenever it falls below certain level, you make a plan of procurement or production for that material. So it is consumption based planning. So most of the cases, the materials which are functional, where you know the lead times are very going to be constant, on that basis you would use this consumption based planning. The parameters like the reorder point which is set is according to the procurement times, lead times which is needed. On that basis you would do your setting up of your reorder point, right? Like you know, like for example, how should I tell you? Maybe a simple example at our household. People, I take a very generalized examples at our households or in the day-to-day life. I believe you are all are going to appreciate it. No problem. Feel free if you want to say that Raghu can be taken any other example. That's fine. The only purpose why we take this a generalized example is to make ourselves comfortable and easy to illustrate also. Yeah. So you can give me a thumbs up. You say that okay, we are all okay with that X type of examples. Yeah, all of you. Yes. So for example, I speak about say, yeah, sugar. So I say that every day I consume 100 grams of sugar. So, and it takes for me at least to go to market and bring, say, 1 week of time. So I'll ensure that at least at any given point of time I have 700 grams of sugar, right, people? So in my kitchen I at least have 700 grams of sugar so that I don't get my regular routine being disturbed, right? So this is my reorder point. So anything above 700 grams is okay for me, but something which is below 700 grams, I'm not okay with it. I have to make my procurement plan ready for me, something like that. So that's your reorder point planning, people. And in this case, most of the cases, what are the different offerings we have when we go with the material master creation, and the different you say options what we can choose, we'll also discuss that. And at the same time, as you are also You'll also be provided with certain assignments. You can use this discussion points whatever we did to get them uh, being used in your examples when I'm going to give you the exercise. I will of course help you how are you going to manage that. But yeah, so make it as a practice. Whenever I give you some assignments, you are able to complete it on time, because you will see they have a dependency in the upcoming sessions also. Okay. Then I speak about just in time JIT, or also what we say it as 3 win procedure. Did anyone of you had an experience to work with JIT people? Anyone of you? If yes, please unmute yourself and you can speak about it. Okay. Okay. So just in time is a procedure. It cannot be used for all the materials. So there are few conditions only when you would use just in time. And of course, I'll give you the background of it more in detail, and you will also understand it. So first one is you need to have multiple service providers very near to the vicinity, to the site. Okay, the site here is nothing but your production site, your production plant, let's say. Service providers or suppliers, let's say. So I will speak about the simple mathematics, right? For example, I'm speaking about making of a car, and I say I need 5 tires to make my car, four on the surface, one as a stepney people I offer to my customer. So 5 tires per car, and I produce 100 cars per day. That will give me a simple math of 5 cross 100 is equals to 500 is the per day usage of tires. Let's do the other math also. Like how many per month, Raghu? So it's 500 plus 30. So this is per month usage of tires. So how much for a year, Raghu? This is 5 into 500. This is per year. The very reason you say that I'm going to manage my inventories of any of the product, you say it is to ensure that your production does not get affected. So just in time is a procedure where you will try to manage the specific material with the least or very minimal inventory people. Now I can say that if I have 500 tires at my warehouse, that will suffice. That will fulfill me to make my whole production very smoothly, make my production possible. Right, people? You all agree with me? Hello, people? You're following, right? Perfect. Now, okay, to have 500 tires, but as I mentioned, there are two conditions. Number one, you need to have multiple service providers very near to the site, and the suppliers are having very less lead times to fulfill the demand once received. So, though I need 500 number of tires per day, But if I say that the service provider, for example, MRF Tires is the one who will provide me the tires, and he is located somewhere, and take the geography of India, very easy for me, right? So I'll say that I'm somewhere located in Chennai, my production plant, and this service provider is somewhere in North Delhi, let's say. Now you will say that taking the distance altogether, Raghu, you will take at least 1 week of time to get your order done. So you will say that it's not possible because in this case, the minimum size which is needed for you in order to ensure that you are covering your demand once it is placed and once it is fulfilled, it is like almost 500 into 7 days for his receiving of order, transportation 3 days, and then confirmation of it like JRJ again it will take 3 days of time. So 7 plus 6 is some almost like 13 days of time. So you need to have an inventory of 13 days, that is 6,500 at least. This is not a case of having JIT. Okay, and just imagine what happens if I do not have that so-called MRF service provider who is not available because of any other reason. So I just have to shut down my shop floor because of unavailability of it. So that's the other point what I was mentioning, that I will have multiple service providers. Only when I have these two check boxes are as tick yes yes, only then I will think of having JIT. So I will run my show with the minimum inventory. Now, let us imagine the ideal case that okay, I have this service providers very near and they are ready to serve me. So what I will do? So the day starts for me. Day begins. So my 500 inventory which is available in my warehouse is bought up onto my shop floor, right? And I start using it. So then, as the day ends, this becomes a deficit of zero. So it completely gets consumed. So zero is the inventory what I have. Now again, I have a warehouse with 500 of inventory, and then I have a service provider who will give me exactly 500 tires which are needed for me for the next day. So day begin has done, so day ending. So after day end, the inventory of tires is zero. Now what I will do, I will move the inventory from 500 of which is in warehouse. I will bring it to my shop floor. 500, perfect. And the 500 exactly the same quantity which I was in need. It is service provided by the vendor who is available. And again I will place an order for exactly for 500 for the next day. Now you see, with just an inventory of 500 in my warehouse and 500 on my shop floor, I am able to make my whole production easier, right? So with a very minimum inventory of 500, so overall 1000 or 500, whatever it is, I'm able to make my run my show of production very easily. So this is just in time procedure, and also this is the reason why we say it as 3 bin procedure. What are the 3 bins here, people? Bin 1, which is at your shop floor, bin 2, which is at your warehouse, and bin 3, which is the requirement which is sent to the vendor. This is the reason why it is called as 3 bin procedure. Okay, people?
I guess the
Clear?
benefit of this is it will not lead to some excess inventories and stuff like that, right?
Yes, Shashank, very good. You will all the additional inventory cost and all whatever you are going to bear is all been reduced because of this. But of course, it's not usable for all the materials as you have the constraints, right? Like service providers should be near to you and with less lead times. Yes, Sasidhar.
It means the required material is nearby service is provided. From there, it will come to warehouse. From warehouse to shop floor.
Correct. I'm sorry, can you repeat?
No, the 3 bins. It is one. It is from supply to warehouse, warehouse to shop floor.
This
Correct? Am I
is
right?
shop floor. This is one
Okay.
bin one. Then this is your warehouse. This is bin two. This is your vendor location. This is bin 3.
So, but
So with this,
material flow, how it is there from here or no? It is showing reversal. Correct? You are showing in reversal. Correct?
Ah, ha, ha. Okay, okay, I got you. Yeah,
That's
this
why
will
I'm
happen.
confused. That's why.
No problem. Yeah, I get your point. I got it. Yeah. Actually, I was showing you the demand flow. I was showing you the demand flow, but yeah, if you want to say physical material flow, it will be in this fashion. This is the material flow. Okay, vendor to warehouse, warehouse to shop floor. This is material flow.
But is it mandatory to that warehouse bin is required directly? That vendor bin means it is in our plant in premises or outside the vendor bin.
Actually, all you if you all have seen the site, the plant site, right? You will say they have something called Jishu hose and a very common practice what they follow. They say that their whatever is needed on the shop floor for that day only that should be maintained. This is a very standard process they follow because they want to manage their shop floor also in an effective way, right? So this whole inventory for next day also if it is sitting it's not an effective utilization, so of course they will have, there's a reason why you see you have something like MRP area concept comes up there, right? Shashi, you say that
Hmm.
why are we trying to designated locations we are giving, because you say that there is a need for us to identify on which places should they sit and all. So that's a common practice. But yeah, if they do not have a warehouse, what you will do is the whole inventory which is sitting will be, instead of 500 will be 1000, right? Because for the next day you can't expect on the same morning it will come, or maybe on the same evening it will come. So it's all in that way. But yeah, it's not mandatory that you need to have warehouse, but this is the general procedure to have only the necessary inventory for the given day on the shop floor, not more than that.
Yeah, these sort of strategies are confined to some certain specific business models where vendors are very near and stuff like that.
Correct, correct,
Yeah, that's
true.
why that is the reason I asked. Okay.
And also there's something called the formula of this, the size of this bin size is has a formula is like number of days required to fulfill the demand into usage per day. So for me number of days is only one day into per day how much I'm using people 500, right? So this is my bin size. So the more number of days you will see it is more bigger. So if he says, Raghu, I will take 5 days of time to fulfill your demand. So obviously it will be this much will be my bin size. Okay, this is a basic form. So this should be minimum as possible.
And this concept will be executed using Kanban, right?
Very good. Yes, Prashant. It is. We are giving it through Canva. Yeah. Okay. The other one, the last one, I know we are exceeding the time what we planned. I'm sorry for the. I'll ensure that in the next sessions we are gonna count. But I think you should all be able to bear me for 5 more 10 minutes if needed. Please, it's a request sometimes because of the topic what we are going through. I believe you are all okay with that sometimes. Yeah. So EOQ, economic order quantity. The other way around, it is the way how the JIT works, people. So I know how much of inventory I need for the whole year. Like here, I need 1,82,500. So, but when I go to market, I want to see what other services they are providing. Vendors are providing. Say, for example, vendor one says, "Hey Raghu, I will give you 1 lakh tires in first 3 months. I mean, first consignment, and then for the rest I will give you another 1 lakh again in 3 months, and I will also give you 50% of discount This is the one of the vendor who offers me if I take this in this way. Vendor two says, "Okay, I will give you 50,000 tires in first consignment. Again, the next consignment, whenever you come to me, I can give you in the same 50,000 values. I will not give you more than 50,000 at any time when you place an order, and I will give you say 45% of discount. This is what the maximum capacity what this vendor 2 can give me at any point. So whenever I place my order, he can only make a processing of only 50,000 tires. Okay, something like that. And here I have another vendor, vendor 3. Says Raghu, I will give you a clean 2 lakh tires, one and a 60% of discount. Now, people, if Raghu is a procurement planner, and in this case, to whom should I approach? You feel is it a straightforward answer? You say, or there could be some other conditions apply, Raghu? What do you think, people?
There could be other parameters.
Yeah, like based on the demand flow and I mean based on the procurement guy checks with the cross function like
And
planning and any other. It's a strategic
also based
decision
on this,
taken all together in an organization, right?
Very good, very good. I like these responses. Yeah. So first thing is, I should understand: is it a functional or innovative, right, people? So if you say, for example, instead of tire, if it is something like a car engine, you say, Raghu, you may end up going with a functional material which can be outdated within no time, people, right? So first thing I have to understand, is it functional or innovative? So if it is functional, okay, maybe, okay, that's one condition. Another condition, people, how about my warehouse capacity? Do I have a capacity to hold 2 lakh units of tires? If the answer is no, vendor three's option is no more relevant for me, right? Because I can't go for a new warehouse now and make its proposals and all and then make this, so it's not benefited for me. Maybe vendor 2 I will go if I have a capacity only for 50 to 60,000, let's say, for my next quarter, something like that. Or I will still go for vendor 1 if he is giving me 1 lakh consignment, something like that, right? So in that way, we can see that the decision of quantity, how much of quantity should I procure, it is all depending on certain conditions. So but you will see that the procurement quantity whatever I'm doing, it can be sometimes more than what I actually need, people. You're all following? So that's the EOQ for you, economic order quantity. So of course there are different parameters what every the planner, procurement planner, engineer would try to evaluate and they make a decision. So this is made more easier for us in nowadays because of the offerings what SAP has bought, like SAP Ariba is available for us, right, people, which is making it more easier, I would say. Yeah, just for your additional information point of view. Okay, great. So any other questions which I missed?
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned JIT and EOQ. So with the JIT, are we? I mean, are you saying that in advanced planning there are additional options, additional features other than what we already have in ECC? Or is that the reason why we discussing JIT in advanced planning?
No, I just mentioned this
Hmm. Okay.
methodologies of planning just to
Okay.
mention that though these are effective but still cannot be used by the planner or the client to be considered for the planning, right? So in
Okay.
spite of having these methodologies in S4 HANA, still a client wants to use advanced planning. As I
Okay.
mentioned that they are not compromised at the same
Okay.
time.
So these are not going to be part of EPPDS, but we are just mentioning that these are available in S4.
in S4 HANA already.
Yeah,
And also they are not compromised.
yeah,
So generally what we think is okay, S for HANA it has this one, this is of no use. That's the reason why they want to go for advanced planning. No, that's not the case, right? We have to be very clear about these people because maybe you may see about a client who is very strong with his production planning. So then if you are going with a pitch to sell, you cannot say that okay JIT it's outdated one. No, not like that. It's not a compromise technique nowhere, but still you cannot use it, right? Though it is effective, you still can't use it for one of the material, let's say, right? That's the way it is. But
okay.
you will see few features of this all is been adopted in advanced planning, how it is and all. When we realize that when we are trying to use advanced planning, to what extent of these features of these techniques and all are going to be used, we will see. Okay, this is just about inheriting of few of the features, the essential features of it, right? Like in JIT, the takeaway for me is run with a minimum inventory. In MRP, all of you MRP are all aware of it. So having a right quantity at a right time is what a basic to fulfill all the dependent demands is the basic principle of MRP, right? People, you are all agree? Hello, if I have to keep it in a nutshell.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's the another same thing which you will see adoption is done in our advanced planning. Then EOQ, maybe sometimes you may have to jump to have some excess quantity on a need basis. So to do that, how an evaluation planning will help us, we will also see that. So in that way, it is still an inheriting of all of these methodologies. How it is able to do, we will realize. Yeah, in our plan, not in the way of making the process, but the way of my plan point of view, how I am able to adopt it is what we will realize in the advanced plan. Okay, so yeah, so I wish you the rest of the day a good day. So see you tomorrow at the same time. So yeah, please come with the expectations to have the session at 8 p.m. IST to 10 p.m. IST. People, yeah, I know there was some confusion to some people, but yeah, I think you should be able to receive the communication from your coordinators. Yeah, thank you. Great. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.